in celebration of opening the feed store, we decided to do a feed podcast. I forgot what we do. I got sidetracked.
We podcast. We have it on our website, Poultry Nerds Podcast. You can actually go there and watch the video that we're recording right now. So you can see the PowerPoint presentations. A lot of times we make hand gestures to each other and talk about it in the podcast. And you wonder, what are they doing? What's so funny?
Welcome to the Poultry Nerds Podcast, where breeders, backyard keepers, and hatch fanatics come together to talk everything poultry. Subscribe and follow so you never miss an episode. Now, here are your hosts, Jennifer Bryant and Carey Blackmon.
Are we talking about what to feed our birds today?
We are, but because I selected this topic in lieu of your special occasion. So tell all of our listeners what is in store for you. And I, pun intended.
Oh, wow. So we're just going to talk about this right now. Show Pro is becoming a store, and that's going to be my full-time thing. We're going to have a feed store here in Hueytown, Alabama, and we'll also continue to make and ship and all that good stuff from here as well. The benefit of that is our lead times have gotten out of control, and I can only do so much from 3 o'clock till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I am retiring from teaching. They found out last week, and it was okay. And I hope to have the store open next Monday. I think I had to call it a soft opening because it'll be pending inspection from the fire department for a full-fledged business license to be done for the store retail location. But I've already talked to him. He's already looked through here, told me what needs to be done, what needs to be in place. Once I fill out the paperwork, gave me a cell phone number to call him. So we'll be good.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You need to be jumping up and down.
So I don't really know what to think. I've been an entrepreneur for many years, and I got pulled back into a job some years back because somebody was having some problems and they needed it fixed. And I have a strong background in IT.
People can still get your stuff mailed to them. You're not shutting down the e-commerce, right?
Nope.
And you're still running your routes, so I can still get my feed here.
Yep.
Are you expanding the routes at all?
So I've got a lot of interest in the Memphis, like out Corridor X towards that area. I've got a lot of interest down in Louisiana and a lot in northern Florida and central Georgia. So, basically every state around me, people are wanting it, and some actually all the way out to Texas. I have one guy out in Texas, and so I'm working on that because he even said, I got a place you can stay for you, turn around and go home. He's got an apartment there on his farm.
So this is just you call or get on your website, order feed, and then once a month you're going to deliver it and they pick up, right?
Yeah. So what I usually do is I have 2 drop points in Tennessee right now. One's your farm and one's Rather Farms west from you. They're right up I-65. But I go there. Everybody that's picking up at Rather, which there's quite a few that pick up there, and they'll get theirs. I'll unload everything and I'll set it in piles, whose is what. And then they come by and pick it up. If they come by that day, I'll say, hey, look, it's going to be dropped at the point by 2, and they'll come afterwards. And I've already made arrangements with them to know that they're going to be there. If you're not picking it up right, then you need to coordinate with the drop person. And like at your location, you have this ginormous box out by your gate, and I just put it in there and they come by and get it. Don't bother you. It's one of the people I've never even met.
Yep. So that's like how Azure Standard works. Just pick
Yeah.
up drop points and drop it off. So I'm assuming, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm assuming that if people are in the surrounding area and would like to be a drop point, then to contact you and maybe see about setting it up.
Yeah. Carey at showprousa.com. Shoot me an email. Let me know where you're at, because I have started a Excel sheet. I love Excel sheets. That's got people and locations that are interested and about how much feed they go through in a month, and I can put it together. And I got poultry feed, livestock feed. If it's on your farm, I can feed it. So
Well, awesome. And then if you're in the Birmingham, Central Alabama area, they can just come to your store now.
yeah,
By
for
the
a while I've had people that we would make arrangements and they'd meet here, and some of them use my forklift and put a pallet in the back of their truck or whatever. But now, as long as they come during business hours, somebody be here that can load them up. One of the things I'm going to do on the website is the store is going to have its own website, and you'll be able to go there and place your order and select pickup, and it'll be ready for you to pick up the next day. Because I'll pull all those orders before I go home and have them in the warehouse ready to go. You can pick them up. We'll load them up for you.
Yep. It sounds good. And it's fun to grow the whole chicken business.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And we're going to grow into a full out feed and seed store. I had started some plants like corn and stuff like that. My wife was like, instead of you bringing them home and putting them somewhere and having to put a fence around it so the goats or the pigs don't destroy it, why don't you put a planter in front of your store? Nothing really says farm store like a garden. Hey, not only is she the doctor, but she's smart.
But you have to have a feed trough of chicks too. Cheap.
I got to figure that out because I actually found out that in the municipality of Hueytown, they do not allow two-legged furry friends.
So they go, we will work around that, I'm sure.
And this
Maybe-
area is pretty quiet. So I feel like once the inspection's done, as long as I'm paying my tax bill every month, literally nobody will show up. I'm pretty confident about that. So you never know what you might see in the store.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So in celebration of opening the feed store, we decided to do a feed podcast. I forgot what we do. I got sidetracked.
We podcast. We have it on our website, Poultry Nerds Podcast. You can actually go there and watch the video that we're recording right now. So you can see the PowerPoint presentations. A lot of times we make hand gestures to each other and talk about it in the podcast. And you wonder, what are they doing? What's so funny? Sometimes we're able to describe it, but not to a T. Now you can actually go to our website, watch it when it airs, and then within a week we'll have the episode on our YouTube channel as well. So if YouTube is your thing, you can subscribe there, and every time it gets uploaded, you'll get a notification.
Yep. And you are also going to make a downloadable that we are going to link in the show notes on the website so people can download what they need to look at their feed tags to see if it's a good quality feed, right?
Yep.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Nah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. Let's see what you know. It's a quiz time. Chicken
Okay.
chicks. What do they need?
You got it right there on the screen. They need amino acids, probiotics, fat. A lot of people harp on protein. Protein is about number 4, number 5, probably number 5 in the level of importance on what all poultry needs. Lysine and methionine are 2 key amino acids that they need. Threonine is one that makes it all work together. And then you got vitamins A, D, and E. Those are very important, not only for chick health, for your breeder birds. So when you hatch out the chicks, they're healthy, but it also is very important for the chicks to have high levels or appropriate levels of amino acids, because that's like the building block of their entire skeletal and muscular everything systems. So those amino acids are key. And that's why it's at the top of the list. And without fat, they're not going to grow.
That's energy, right?
Yeah, they need that.
So amino acids and protein levels are different things, or they are together?
They're totally different. A lot of the reasons why a lot of people will say you need a higher protein is because typically feeds that have higher protein levels are going to be your game bird feeds. And game bird feeds don't mean game fowl. That means quail, turkeys, because as chicks, they do need more protein but they also need more of everything else than chickens. Not a lot, but they
Wait a
do a
minute.
little bit.
That's the next slide. See, the next slide was quail turkey chicks.
Oh, okay. I was ahead of you. I knew it was there. I don't know.
That's
I need to get on the shot clock so I can hit the slides.
okay.
But quail and turkey chicks, their fat levels, if you really want to hit that peak genetic potential, you're going to be a minimum of 6.5. Realistically, it's best if it's 7 or 8. You really don't want to go above 9 because you're going to wind up with Cornish cross with toothpick legs, and that's not going to be good because they won't live the 6 to 8 weeks till maturity. They'll expire sooner because it don't work the same way with turkeys as it does with chickens.
So they need the same thing, but they need different levels of it.
Now, on the protein side, anywhere between 24, 28, 29%. 30 is okay if you're not going to use it for long, but 30 is kind of getting to the point of being too high if you're going to do it the whole time. Because I discovered this recently. There's people out there that feed their bird 30% protein. This one guy told me that I was not right, that they need 30% protein all the time. So he fed that starter to his quail their entire lives. And I asked him, I said, how long are you getting out of your birds? He said, they're like all quail. They usually expire 9, 10 months. I said, that's not all quail. They're like hitting their peak. No, you don't know. Okay.
So what happens? Do they just get fat and then they can't reproduce?
Well, no, with a really high protein like that, you're essentially taxing their internal organs, especially the kidneys, because it has to process it. So when you have chicks of any kind, whether it be quail, turkey, chicken, whatever, if the ammonia is so high that you can smell it, then you're feeding too much protein because their bodies are using it and expelling the rest. Well, when it gets to the point where you can smell ammonia, you're about 20 times the toxicity level for poultry. So if you can smell it, it's already too high. And them having to process all that with their kidneys shortens their life greatly.
I know I didn't make a slide for it, so you're not missing it, but the button quail, we have discovered, you and I have worked together for a long time on the button quail.
Oh
But
man, that was fun figuring that out.
They need high energy. So what did
Yep.
you do different to accommodate the buttons?
So with the Show Pro line of game bird starter, what we did was we've got the fat really high. It's well over 7%, almost to 8. And depending on where you are in the bag, it may be 8. But we've got that. We've got the protein about 28%, which is in the middle of that recommended spot. But the vitamins, they're pretty high.
And the
Pretty
reason why we're incrementing up here is just their metabolism is so fast.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that buttons have even higher metabolism than the coturnix. I don't remember the exact numbers because we worked on that project a long time ago, and I don't remember yesterday. So it's been a while, but they need it, and they need more because their bodies are so T90, their metabolism's faster. Which you would think that if they were bigger, they would need a faster metabolism, but it's backwards,
Yeah.
medically speaking.
Makes sense. I've watched them. They never sit still. And the chickens, they'll just lay out in the sun for a while. Buttons don't do that.
No, they wouldn't know what to do.
All right. So this developer feed seems to be the most misunderstood feed that I think I come across. Why?
What, starter versus developer?
I think people think you just feed starter and then you go to layer.
Well,
There's no.
a lot of people do that and live by that, but they're wasting a lot of money because starter is expensive. And when you look at the commercial world, and I know we're not commercial people, but The commercial industry is the ones that spent double-digit millions, maybe more, on doing this research. When you look at it, typically you will divide a chicken's life, like what you're expecting for it to get mature, into 4. And you'll feed the starter, the grower, the developer, and then a finisher. The commercial industry feeds a finishing ration to finish the bird out. And in the backyard, instead of a finisher, that would be when the hens or pullets that were hatched out at the same time start laying, when the little cockerels start pumping their chest out and being like teenage boys on the playground. When that happens, that's when you need to switch them over. You don't feed a layer until they're laying. And now with a developer or in conditioner type feed, there's a lot of people that when they hit maturity, they stop at that because yes, a rooster eat too much calcium, it can have a negative impact, but it's going to take years for that to happen. It's a slow process, but when you pay for layer feed, you're paying for the extra calcium and other stuff too. So they'll get a good developer and conditioner feed. They'll feed that and then leave oyster shells free choice. And that works with chickens, game birds, about like quail, turkey. It works out really well with all of those. I have in my grow out, I have mixed ages. So when it gets to that point, I'll feed the developer, and I have a half a gallon cage cup that's got oyster shells in it. And in my big one where my turkeys are, I actually have a 3.5 gallon bucket with grit in it. Cause when they get 3, 4 months old, them suckers are like really tall. So they can reach over and eat it straight out of the bucket. But the grit's really important too, because that's what helps break down what you're feeding them. If you're feeding a mash, the process has already started. So it's not as vital, but it's still important because in that mash, there's still going to be some whole grains that come through, and grains are expensive. So you want the bird to get all the benefit they can from it. But if you're feeding a pellet or something that's solid, like some of the game fowl mixes, they'll have whole soybeans in them, whole corn, whole peas. And if you're feeding all that to your birds and you're not giving them grit, then they're not getting the most out of it. They're not getting the nutrition that goes into the bag. So it's really important. And if you get one of the Show Pro lines of feed, except for the exhibition feed, like the starter, grower, developer, layer, breeder, those, they actually have 2% grit already in the bag. And that's just an average of what they need that's been calculated out. So it's 20 pounds per ton. And sometimes in my layer house, I'll have a bunch of rocks in the bottom of the trough. And sometimes I won't have any, and I don't empty it out. Their trough is out of the weather. It don't matter if the rain is horizontal, it doesn't get in there. So I don't have a reason. They don't like roost on it because they have roosting places nearby. So I don't have to worry about them pooping in it.
All right. So the developer feed, you have me feeding the starter till about 8 weeks on the chickens, and then moving over to the developer. And mine are, now these are my Orpingtons in the picture. I just want to tell everybody that last year I fed your Show Pro exclusively to the Orpington. They didn't get anything else. And this is the offspring from that next generation. Okay, so from the first generation. So this is the second generation. And you've seen the Orpingtons that I chose out from last year, and the extra vitamins and minerals brought out.
They brought out, to me, what I noticed, and I don't look at your birds as much as you do. I see them once, maybe twice a month. But what I noticed is, and you can see it in the picture, their feathers are a lot more fluffier. They look more like fur and less like feathers. To me, that's because the feather's healthy because of the higher levels of methionine that they're getting. And they grow. You're already known for having ginormous Orpingtons, but the ones in this picture are only how old?
They're 8 to 9 weeks.
and they're already the size of a lot of people's normal chickens.
Yeah, so that is what 2x4 wire they're standing next to, and that's their 12 inches right there.
Yeah, it is working really well for yours. I think this year, you had a very hard time with the colon aspect because of all the improvements, because the ones that hatched out this year were bred from birds that had only ate the more nutritious food, and they looked solid. And there was not many. I wouldn't have want to been in your place to really have to do that picking, because even when you had me look at them, I'm like, is there
Well,
any, let's let them walk. Any of them walking funny? Any of them bob their head weird? I'm trying to
mm-mm.
find something, and they're very, very consistent.
These guys have had your feed since day one also, but they just came out of the hatcher ready to go. And they went out on grass at 6 weeks, which is early for me. I don't normally do that, but the weather's been weird this year, so it was warm that week. But yeah, they've been out and they're doing great. I did have to separate them from the breasts. I do have some breasts. Of course, all of them are raised on your feed too, but the breasts are feed hogs. They're more like a Cornish when it comes to feed. And so I had to separate the Orpingtons so they had more feed space because they're so much more docile. They'll be like, okay, you want to eat the food? It's okay.
For me, I had a very similar issue. I put breasts in with bourbon reds, and I know people say, "Oh, don't mix turkeys and chickens. That's not
Yeah.
good." But mine get along just fine. But when they see me coming, when I open the gate with that trough, like I carry, they get a full 5-gallon bucket in this pen. It's huge, and there's a lot of them in there. And when I hit the first trough, there's just white bolts going to it, like they hadn't ate in a week,
Yeah, they're a mess.
and they ain't missed a meal. And then the turkeys. So I was at a antique shop. It's like one of those cool off the beaten path. Actually, the name of this place is Off the Beaten Path. But I was at one of those, and I saw a heavy patinaed trough that I know was for chickens, but the thing's 6 feet long, and it just looked amazing. And when I went in, I was like, "Hey, is this thing for sale out here?" Actually, yes. And the guy did not want a whole lot for it, so it came home,
Mm.
and it's been working for me for about 4 years pretty well. But I feed in that, and then I have another one that's made out of a I think a 5-inch gutter section. It's 5 inches wide, but it's a full 10 feet long. I mounted it to a 2x4 and screwed it to a couple of trees that's inside the pen. And the turkeys, they just hang out over there.
Yep.
Come feed me. And I
All right.
go and put the rest in there. But yeah.
Okay, so mine chickens stay on the starter till about 8 weeks. Then they go to developer and they stay on that. I leave them till point of lay. The Orpingtons, that's almost a full year.
Yeah.
For the breast, that's about 16, 17 weeks. So I
Mhm.
have some breast pullets right now. I got their first eggs just a couple days ago. Now, what I'm doing now is feeding them developer 2 out of 3 days and then layer the 3rd day. What do you think about that? You think I should be switching them
Well,
over?
anytime you're changing, if you've got, obviously all of your chickens aren't going to start laying on the same day. It'd be really cool if it
It
worked that
would.
way and awful handy, but it's
Yeah.
not happening. When you do, that's good. Okay. Also, you're making a feed change. When you go from the developer to the layer, the texture's a little different. The things maybe broke up a little different, although at that they're very similar, but they're
Mhm.
different. And so anytime you make a feed change, if you do it cold turkey, you're going to stress your birds out, and you're not seeing, they will stop laying for a while, some longer than others, but it stresses them out or makes them mad, whatever you want to call it. And so doing a slow transition period into that, like you 2 to 3 days, and then the layer, and then alternating that out, that's good because you're slowly introducing the different feed. And then by the time you get to where they're pretty comfortable with it, it's been a couple weeks, and maybe by now all of them are laying. So it works out good.
So when I should fully be over to layer is when they're laying, period, or when they're laying full-size eggs?
No, you need to do it when they start laying
Gotcha. Okay.
because every time there's no way for them to get calcium back aside from eating. And the biggest difference in a layer feed is it's going to have a calcium level anywhere 3.25 to 3.5. Whereas with a developer, you're going to be 1.25, 1.5. Obviously, that's 2 points different. And they need that calcium going back in their body constantly while they're laying. Now, if you got some that come the winter months, if you're not a person that likes your birds or anything like that, and they just go all natural, once they go on strike, don't spend the extra money for the layer, go back to the developer. And if you get an egg every once in a while, that's fine. But when they start getting consistent again, go back to the layer feed. And again, it's okay for the roosters. I've seen research that references anywhere from 5 to 8 years is what it would take to make a difference. Some people argue that, and that's cool. You can argue all you want to. I usually go by my personal experience or science. I like to have some legit research with somebody that's got some acronyms or whatever at the end of their name. Those tend to be more legit.
Well, I don't know what you recommend. I think we've talked about it before, but I don't remember what you said. But the birds, the older birds, mine don't stay on layer year round. Mine only stay on layer when they're laying, and then I put them back on some kind of a developer or an off lock
And you should.
in the
You
winter
know,
time.
if they're not, you don't light most of your birds in the wintertime. I know you do your quail, and if you got some kind of mad scientist project that you're working on, you got a couple coops that you can light.
Yeah.
We all got our projects. But when they stop laying, then yeah, save the money and go back to the developer because layer feed has more stuff, more vitamins and more amino acids and more calcium, more minerals. So it costs more. So definitely go back to the other.
So my older laying flock in the back, I just put them back on Kalmbach off lock, which we have a feed tag here in just a minute, so we'll talk about that. Okay, so let's motor on here. All right, supplements. Why would you put a supplement in your feed?
The biggest reason is because you will not find a commercial feed that's widely available everywhere that meets the nutritional values that birds need. Like the numbers just aren't there.
So this just
Bec-
supplements and brings it up to where it should be.
yes. So when this product was developed, we looked at feed tags from basically the neutrinas, the tuckers, the combox, and calculated all that out to get an average. And then once we had that number, we worked out the math to figure out what was needed at a small amount to get the numbers up to where it should be. Because, like with the one you have in the picture here, teaspoon a day per bird is all it takes. And you can calculate that out to roughly a heaping tablespoon per pound of feed or a cup per half a 5 gallon bucket. Should be about 12.5 pounds and should feed 50 birds. So it's easily calculatable. And that's what it takes to get the average feed up to the levels. Now, if you use one of the better feeds out there and add this to it, it's not going to overdo it. So you're not harming your birds. What happens there is everybody knows that the average chicken eats 4 ounces a day. When you're feeding a higher quality feed and you're meeting that nutritional value, you'll start noticing that there's feed left. If you're a person that feeds every day and feeding them 4 ounces, whether you dump it all out in a trough and they all hit it at the same time or what, if there's a good bit of feed left over, or if your birds start getting essentially fat, then cut back. My birds, I have birds that some of them just don't play well with others, but they're pretty and I like them. So I feed them and I take them out and I pet them and look at them and talk to them and enjoy them. Chicken people are no different than cat people.
So
Um,
people could email you and say, "Hey, I'm feeding this bag and this bag to this kind of bird because that's important.
yeah.
What supplement should I add to it?" And you can
So
calculate it.
yeah, so I have an Excel sheet. Again, Excel I like, but it's set up to where I can put up to 5 different feeds in it because people mix their stuff differently. Some of them will do just a straight feed. So I can put all that in there based on how you make it and put the supplement in with it too and work the numbers because some people I went back and said, "Hey, look, don't do a heaping tablespoon if you're gonna keep feeding this amount," because they're feeding grow outs or whatever, so it's free choice. Cut back a little bit, and I'll tell them what to cut back to based on what they're using. And sadly, sometimes people like their mix of pellets and scratch and that kind of stuff, and when you start doing that, it really trashes the nutritional value, so they may need a little extra.
Yep. Okay, changing gears for just a second here.
Okay.
So we have talked about Save a Chick, I think, on a previous podcast, not too
Oh,
long
yeah.
ago, actually. But we did not have the guaranteed analysis when we talked about it before. And I remember saying it was basically salt and sugar. So I have added the guaranteed analysis here. And sure enough, it is salt and sugar.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And that's why it looks like that, and that's not good for birds. There's some people that put it in their water every day, and that's like you think about your grandparents, they stopped drinking sodas because they had to take these water pills that have them running. Well, it's because 'cause they're drinking too much salt, and their body's not processing it. So, you can do the same thing to a chicken, and when they get that point, I've had people with chickens that I'd go feel them, and I hear a little rattle, and I'm start thinking, "Okay, what kind of disease has this thing got?" And I need to take a shower and burn my clothes before I go see my chickens. But then I'll turn the bird over and let it hang vertically with his head down, and then a lot of water will come out of it. And I ask them, I'm like, "What are you putting in the water for your birds?" "Oh, I give them my electrolytes every day."
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
that
like your hillbilly accent.
the water that just came out shows that. That they're not sick. They are sick, but it's not like some kind of disease. They're retaining too much water, and you need to stop giving them electrolytes because most of the time, just straight up clean water is good. That's all they need. If you can especially get the pH around 5.5 to 6, when you do that, that also makes it to where their bodies can absorb more of the nutrients in their feed, and you can make your feed more economical, stretch it, and because they're not eating as much and they're able to use more of what they are eating. Like for me, example, the water that my birds eat comes from a reservoir. I have a garden hose going into it, and yes, it is one for drinking water. But coming off of my hose, I go into a filter, then out of the filter into a inline liquid fertilizer thing. And that's a 2-gallon tank that I fill up with apple cider vinegar. And then on the other side of that, I calibrate it to where when it flows, it's putting enough of the apple cider vinegar into the water to keep the pH as it flows between 5.5 and 6, which sounds really aggravating and a pain in the butt, but it's really not that hard to do. And so once I have that, it goes to a reservoir, and then in the reservoir, it sits, and I've got some copper pipe in there to make sure no funky stuff grows. But the thing I like about it sitting in the tank is it off gases the chlorine because I am on city water, and obviously they use bleach to purify the water. So I like to let that off gas so my birds aren't drinking because I don't drink the crap that comes out of the tap at my house. I've looked at their water reports and it ain't good. So I do that, and it sits in there. And then I have a pump that pumps it through a complete system. that's got their bale waters, water cups, troughs, whatever on it. And, when one of the valves opens, it fills up and it comes off of that circulating loop and it works because it's circulating all the time. The lines don't freeze up, which is cool in the wintertime. It's good in the wintertime. Not cool because I also have an aquarium heater in the reservoir to keep the water to 60 degrees when it goes down below that. And when it's really cold outside, I have seen in a couple of different pens a bird with his foot in the water. I'm like, what the crap? And these are the little pecker cups that have the little yellow thing in them that they have to peck to get the water to come out because I don't want the bowl to freeze. But he's letting the water run through there. And then when it gets warm, because it's got to come through the tube that's not circulating, then he drinks it.
Smart.
I'm like, I've talked about the dumb stuff that chickens do, but that's one of the smartest things I've ever seen one do. So it's crazy, but it's been a really good system, and I'm able to have less birds and do more with them by controlling the quality like that.
You have a video on your water system, don't you?
Yeah, but it's not a great one. I need to do another one.
Yeah, we'll link that in the website too. We'll make you do one. Okay, so on the
Thanks.
right side of this picture, I put it in here and put you on the spot, but this
You're
is
really
your
being
new.
great at that today.
Yeah, I know. So this is your new product that's debuting here soon.
Yeah. When we first started the recording, you were laughing and giggling a lot. I'm like, man, what is she up to? Now I know. Yeah. So
Tell us about First Peck.
First Peck. So what that is a mix of vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that you can either suspend in their water or put over their feed. I am a big put it on your feed person because chickens of all ages will mess up their water. I don't know why, but they will. Sometimes I wonder if they back up to it and poop just to see how quick you'll clean it. So I don't like that because if you spend money on something, you mix it in their water. If you've got birds that have 32-ounce or half-gallon water cups and you're cleaning that out every day and swapping it out so it doesn't get green, they're not drinking all of what you gave them, but you're wasting money. But you know how much feed they consume and you can tell when it's gone. So it works. I like that because then I know if they're eating it all or not. So to me, that's my preferred.
Why do you want to put this First Peck on the new hatch chicks food?
Again, because nothing you get from the store is going to have everything they need at the levels that they need it at.
Can you feed them just this, or do you have to put it with food?
Maybe like for the first 20 or 30 minutes. If you got birds that were shipped to you, like you ordered some chicks from one of the hatcheries. We've got a hatchery that's one of our sponsors of the show, and they're a really good facility. But if you get birds from them, the postal service is the only place that ships those, except for private couriers, and they're not overly prompt. And so to avoid waste inside the box, they might get some grow gel in there, but they're not getting any feed. It's against the law to put food or water inside there. So they're not getting it. They come straight out of the hatcher. They go in a box with a heat pad, maybe some grow gel, and then they ship for days. So when you get them, it's extremely important to get as much nutrition in them as quickly as possible. So you want to pour out a little line of this stuff. I'm going to package it in little like 1 pound packets. If you want to put a tablespoon for every few birds that you have so they can eat that first and really get a jolt of vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, and then feed them some feed, that'll be great.
Is there probiotics in it?
There is probiotics in it. Basically, what I did was made a shelf-stable version of the breeder supplement. So there's no fish meal in there. There's no kelp. You still get the same results, but we use different stuff to do it because if you don't put fish meal or kelp in a freezer, it's not going to last more than a few months, depending on where you have it. If you're one of those people that keep it out in the barn, If it's in the summertime, it'll start to degrade after a few months.
Is this going to be available on the website for shipping?
This will be available on the website for shipping, I would say within 2 weeks. I need to get a label design finalized and approved with the people in black suits, and then get it produced so I can put it on the bag. Because for this product, I want it to have a pretty color picture like what's on the breeder supplement bag.
So by the time this airs.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, so we're running long today. So let's just run through really quickly because you are now the newest Kalmbach dealer, right?
There may be others that
You're
have
the newest to us.
gotten approved within the last couple of days, but I had to pick a company to partner with because people in this area don't know who ShowPro feeds. They don't know
Right.
that. And so also I make poultry feed, and that's where my study is. And so I had to find somebody that wasn't oversaturated in the area, somebody that put out a product quality enough that I would consider selling it, and somebody that could get me the stuff religiously without stupid requirements. And Kalmbach, we've talked about their flock maker for a long time because that's one of their best formulas. It's got all the stuff that they need at levels more so than anything else that you can get commercially. You can get the flock maker off Chewy. That's why I decided, hey, their feed is good. So that's who I decided to partner with.
Kalmbach, I think before Kalmbach was a thing, that was part of that original feed study that I did. And I'm the one that screamed around here trying to get it brought in here. But I use both of these feeds, the 17% layer. You can buy it on Chewy, but of course I buy too much of it for that. And the flock maker is what I feed the ducks and year round, and the turkeys and the layers in the wintertime. So I'm very familiar with both of these and I like both of them. I would also like to say that Kalmbach is family owned, family controlled still to this day. Did you know that? That the other two big companies like Purina and the other ones are all owned by big conglomerates
Yeah.
that do a lot of stuff. So I like to support the smaller, more local, and Kalmbach is still that.
Kalmbach's not really a small company,
No.
but they are still family run, and they have a lot of those values. I accidentally sent my rep a message on a Saturday. I just sent him an email. I was like, hey, Monday, when you get this, give me a call because I've got some questions. Because I was looking at the sheet that I got and I wanted to know more information. And the guy emails me back in less than 30 minutes and he says, I can talk today if that works for you. I've got other companies that I've sent emails to inquiring about their products to have them in my store, and I haven't gotten a response from them yet. So, that to me is customer service.
They are having some growing pains because they are growing so fast. But all in all, it's well worth the effort to get a hold of them. How do you look at the dates on a bag? Because Kalmbach uses a Julian system. Is that
It's a
right?
Julian date. And so on there's a bunch of numbers printed on one of the strips. It's the strip at the bottom of the bag. And you're looking for a group of numbers that the size of the font is in the middle of the small point and the big ones. And I know that sounds weird, but when you look at it, you'll be like, okay, I see now. Because it's the only one like that has 5 characters. And that is the Julian date. The first 3 are the day of the year, and the last 2 are the year. So that will let you know exactly what day that thing went through their computer controlled bagger and printed that out on the thing as it sewed it onto it.
So when you say 5 days, so there's 365 days in a year. So we're on probably what, day 150 or something right now?
Hang on, let me find out. Let me look.
So it'd be like 150 and then 26.
So if you look at it, and I really wasn't prepared for that one.
Well, I'm just guessing just so we can understand how it
So
works, 'cause I had to Google it when I learned.
to let the cat out of the bag, we record most of the time on Mondays. So today is Monday, May 25th, 2026. That is Julian Day 145. Yeah. So you will see with Kalmbach, it's very obvious because you're hoping to see the 26. And if you see a bag that says 14526, then you'll know that bag was produced today.
And don't be scared to look at them and say, "You know what? I'm not buying this because it's 6 months old." Walk away from it.
Yeah, I actually bought a bunch of feed from somebody, and when I got it back here, I was looking at it, and I actually had some that was from 23.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So see, it even gets us. All right, let's hit these really quick. So we've got, I don't even know what that conditioner is. And then I always call this other one the pretty food.
Yeah, so the Southeast Gamecock conditioner, that's one that they do put out for the game fowl folks that has whole peas, whole corn, whole soybean. It's got a grain mix and it's got a pellet in it that has nutrition. If you look at the numbers, they're very close to what the birds should have. Now, you can't, every business runs on a profit model. So if they make this stuff the way it should be made, it's going to cost $28, $30, $32 a bag. And it doesn't. It's more like $20, $22 a bag, give or take. And so it's reasonably priced, but it's very close to what they need.
Who makes it?
Kalmbach does.
Oh, okay.
They have a elite game fowl conditioner that's in a pretty bag that's got all kinds of colors on it. It's got a rooster. Oddly, the nutrition is lower than what it is in the Southeast Gamecock conditioner that comes in a plain white bag with the Kalmbach logo and the sticker on it. Marketing.
It is. And I always call it the pretty feed because it's got the little picture window in the front and you can see all the colors and the
Gives you
seeds
that warm,
and
fuzzy
stuff.
feeling.
Oh no. And then your birds pick out what they want and they throw the rest of it out for the mice.
Yeah.
So you're feeding the mice. Okay. But
I-
if they ate it all,
But-
it's a good food, right?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's it. We're done.
Thank you all for tuning in about feed today. Congratulations to Carey and the ShowPro feed line for the big leap into a storefront. Check out showprofarmsupply.com and see how he is growing and support local. Please hit subscribe and leave us a review if you enjoyed the show. Check out the website to learn more about today's topic and grab your downloadable on feed requirements from Carey.